Hello, David here with Balance Claims, getting ready to bring you the first part of a three-part series when it comes to understanding the documentation and the biggest mistakes contractors make when it comes to this. The first part, we are going to be talking about understanding your scope and telling the story. The first and most important thing is you must know your scope. At Balance, we view that there are three different types of scopes. You have a full denial, a repair to replace, and then a full approval. When we're talking about a full approval, we are not talking about they've approved everything on this particular loss. It's just that they have approved the total square on this roof. When it comes to a full denial, the first thing you need to understand is why was the claim denied? So there's a lot of different ways of figuring this out. Best way is ask your homeowners. There's a full list of what we see is some of the most common type of ways that a claim has been denied. It's a homeowner issue, a policy issue, wear and tear. We see previous damage sometimes, an adjuster will say. If you got manufacturer defects, there's a lot of different ones. These are just the most common that we see. Once you've figured out why a claim was denied, you need to eliminate the denied issues by presenting the proper documentation and damage on that loss. Secondly, we have repair to replace. When it comes to repair to replace, this is where Balance loves to start playing chess with the carriers. We also look at the fact of if we present all the evidence and we gather all of the documentations as if this claim was going to go to litigation, 9 times out of 10, it never will. We have teamed up with NTS to use their reports when it comes to repair to replace. It's because of the fact of we are able to find out through them what type of shingle it is. Is the shingle comparable? Is it available? And then lastly, John will get into this, is the area repairable? Not only does this report give us all this information, it also is backed by all of the manufactured documentations to support what NTS has told us. This is also a non-biased report. So therefore, it's not just our evidence, this is also NTS's evidence. Lastly, we have full approval. When it comes to this, you need to think about the roof assembly. And how are you going to show through documentation and through your photos what is happening with the roof assembly? How is this roof put together prior to this loss? You need to show how the underlayment is actually up and over the ridge, up and over the hip, what type of valley liner there is. Is it drip edge? Is it gutter apron? Are the gutter spikes through the drip edge? These are all things that are going to help present the supplement on the back end. You can see a list down here of some of the most common things that we see when it comes to a full approval that a carrier leaves off. Take note of this list because it's very important to make sure that you present photos and documentation to show that these are pre-existing. To make sure that you're able to maximize every single supplement, it starts with the type of documentation styles that you have. You need to make sure that you're presenting everything appropriately and accurately. At Balance, we see that there's three different types of documentation styles. You have some that present very little evidence, very little photos, or no photos at all. You have some that present all kinds of photos, but unfortunately the photos are showing damage to shingles, but it's a full approval. We need photos of the assembly of the roof, showing again how the underlayment is, drip edge, things like that. And then we see the final style, which is where we're able to maximize every single claim, which is by showing exactly how the roof assembly is, what's happening underneath the roof, what does it look like in the attic. All of these things are very important when it comes to maximizing every single supplement. Once you've gathered all your documentation, all your photos during your investigation and during your inspection, you need to now tell a story through Xactimate. This is where we put everything together that you have gathered to tell a story to the carrier in their language. We always make sure during our Xactimate story that we start off with an opening statement. Once we actually go into all of our line items, we make sure it's very clear to understand what we have changed and or added. Not only do we bold them, but we make sure to add an F9 note that explains why we either changed and or added a particular line item to our story. We always make sure also at the very end we give a closing statement. Your Xactimate estimate is a tool for the carriers. It helps present everything in their language And if you do this successfully, you're going to make your supplement on the back end so much easier. If you're able to follow all these steps, when it comes to documentation, presenting the Xactimate story, you too are going to be able to have big wins for you and your company and hit the jackpot. If you have any additional questions on any of the topics that we've talked about, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at success@balanceclaims.com or comment below. Please stay tuned for the next part of a 3-part series.